All right. I think we're good. Mic check. All right, looks good. All right, guys, we're back. We're here with some more Halo gameplay for the morning, or I guess now it's afternoon. But um, we're gonna play a mission and then take a quick break for a couple hours. We're going to a family friend's retirement party today, so we're gonna take a couple hours away and then come back and then hit the Dead Space story again. I think we left off just after we got the captain's rig on Dead Space, but today we're gonna be doing. I forgot the name of the mission. We're assaulting the Spire. If you guys are familiar with that mission in Halo Reach, but that's where we're at. But before we do that, I want to show a video that I found. It's kind of an oldie. It's of my time in the Marine Corps. I forgot that it existed. We had a combat camera um, Marine come with us during one of our training missions, and they uh, they basically just recorded everything that we were doing. It's not really like the most like intense fucking thing ever, but it's kind of cool to see like things that I was doing back then, and I don't know. It's like one of those days that I just kind of took for granted because it's like every day. Like we do, like it's like one of those things you do every fucking day, and it's like okay, it's not really that cool. But like looking back at it now that I've been out for a while, it's like damn, dude, I'd do anything to do that shit again. But um, yeah, it's one of those videos that's kind of been forgotten about, and I just want to make sure that I immortalize it still. I want to showcase it. Um, Let me just pull it up. I got the Halo music playing. Let me turn that off real quick. Actually, let me just close the app. There we go. I had Halo playing in the background. And anyway, so this is on YouTube. Uh, I guess the channel name is Motorizado. I don't know what that's all about. I wonder if it's like a channel dedicated to like Okinawa operations. But from my understanding, it that's where the combat camera published the video. Um, Giving a little bit of a backstory to it, I was with 3rd Lab Battalion. We specialize in low altitude anti-air defense, and well, that's basically what the name stands for. But um, yeah, we use like Stinger missiles and stuff, and like small team movements to coordinate air defense against like helicopters and some low-flying jets and stuff, drones, all that kind of shit. It's the kind of stuff that's going on in Ukraine right now. Like they're just shooting down drones and small aircraft and shit. That's basically what my unit would be doing if we were over there. Um, but yeah, even in this video, it's actually kind of cool. This is me right here. That's my lieutenant. I was the radio operator for my section, so I was responsible for communicating to the bird and like for all my teams. I was responsible for all the radio equipment and coordinating all the communications that we'd have between each other. And yeah, it's just kind of cool. Like that is legit me right there. Like I think that's so fucking cool. Like I'm on the thumbnail for the video. Um, this video only has 276 likes, and it was like published 4 years ago. So I think we gotta get some more fucking love for it. But here we're gonna play it a little bit. It's gonna be kind of loud, so sound warning a little bit. I'll turn it down if I need to, but yeah, the helicopters. There's a reason I have tinnitus, and it's because of these helicopters here. Can you guys not hear it? Let me see. What is going on? Why can't you guys hear it? Why can't you hear it? It's not capturing my audio for it. There we go. Let's see. Right? No. Anyway, that's me right there. That's my lieutenant. I think that's Fabian. That's Dim, Shub. I think that's Pineda right there. Just recognizing some of the faces. I gotta see if I can hear the audio on this. I gotta figure out why that's not the case. Because it's not showing up on OBS that the audio is playing through. Give me a sec. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the audio is not incredibly important because it's just going to be rotor wash from the helicopters. But I do got to figure out why it's not playing the fucking sound audio for that. Is it because it's YouTube? No, it couldn't be. Hang on. Maybe if I just change the game audio to... Yeah, we'll just do that. We'll change the game audio, turn off the desktop audio. Does this pick up as the game audio now? Anyway, this is me again. I got my radio and everything in front of me. That's why like I don't have my backpack on like everybody else. I got all the comm gear in front of me, and I'm walking it down like a baby. And going back to it, all these bags, those static bags, those are where they have their Stinger missiles. In this training environment, they're not actually like the Stinger missiles. I think they call them. They're not stills. They're because the stills they would be like a blue firing, like a blue training round that would fire. It would only be like the all that it would have would be the motor. It wouldn't have a warhead to it. But and it would like just shoot out. It would have the launch motor on it. It wouldn't actually have like the projectile like fuel in the tube. It would just have the motor, and they would shoot those off for like basically target acquisition training. But for these were just like literally just tubes with cement in them. Like they're the actual like expended like tubes of a Stinger missile, but they were filled with cement just for the simulation of the weight and for like reps of like moving around with it and stuff like that. And from my understanding, the tracking system and like the sight, everything like that still worked. That's what like they would lock onto targets with, and like just that would be purely for training with that. It would just get them familiar with using their weapon systems and stuff. But that's what's in those bags. Let me see if I can hear the audio again. If I can. No, what the fuck, dude? Why is this being so stupid? Alright, now maybe? No. This pisses me off. I just want the YouTube video audio to show through, and it's not doing that. Alright, give me a sec. I have an idea. Fuck it. Fuck it, no audio. This is fucking lame. I'm annoyed actually. There's no reason my browser shouldn't be feeding audio through to this. It's always something, dude. But we'll just go on with the video. I'll mute the video because I'm not gonna listen to it if you guys can't hear it. I'm not gonna be the only one suffering. I'm not listening to that rotor wash by myself. But anyway, that's me walking up to the bird with my section. We're getting on CH-53s. These are the same helicopters my uncle died on when he was in the Marine Corps. And honestly, like it's not something that I never forgot it. Anytime I got on one of these things, I always thought it was gonna be the last one I would be on. Fortunately, it was not the case. I'm still here, but I hated these fucking things. They're archaic. Like they're like flying dinosaurs essentially. Like that's how long they've been in service. But yeah, we're all getting on to the bird. And then during this training mission, we're going to be utilizing these helicopters as our targets. They're going to be coming in, and we're doing training for them as well because pilots aren't familiar with like, hey, like, how do we know if we're getting engaged from the ground? Like, how far of a standoff distance do these weapon systems on the ground actually have? Like realistically, how long would it take them to acquire us as a target, and how long do we have to break off and like evade the rocket or the missile or whatever the fuck's getting shot at you? And like it was good training for the helicopter pilots and the crews as well as us, just because like for them for the LAAD Marines, the LAAD gunners, they don't always get to do their job in practice, but like in this case, they actually got to do practical application with their Stinger missiles and their sections and their teams. What's up, TJ? No, well, no, we're not infantry. We were LAAD gunners. Uh, basically, uh, I forgot what their MOS would be. I think it's 7212s or 7211s, but they would utilize Stinger missiles. They're anti-air defense, but we also use section like squad crew serve weapons like 50 cals and Mark 19s and stuff. We got attached to grunts and we got attached to tanks and artillery, but it's like one of those like units that gets augmented to help support other units. We weren't necessarily grunts, but we rolled out with whoever needed anti-air support kind of things. You'll kind of see a little bit more here in the video. I can't play the audio for some reason. Yeah, this is an old video of mine that came up, and yeah, this is me right here getting on the bird. I'm the last man before the camera guy. That's me getting up, and for some reason he's got perfect angle of my butt right there. But yeah, this is us just loading up, getting our stuff ready. Um, it's pretty cool. Like this is kind of stuff that like I kind of take for granted because like this is like I said before, this is stuff that we did all the time, and it's just another day at the job. But looking back at it, I wish I could do this kind of stuff again. I miss this kind of shit. But um, yeah, I also don't miss it at the same time. And I always thought that those guys, the crew, I don't know if they were crew chiefs, but the air crew, the guys that hung on the back of the bird, I thought they had the fucking either they were like super brave or super dumb. Like there's no way you could pay me to sit on the end of a fucking helicopter that's got an open door like that. Like while they're taking turns and it just like he's just chilling. Like that shit would scare the fuck out of me because he's just tethered on by like a small cable or a small like a small rope kind of thing, like a tow strap basically. And I wouldn't have that much trust in that because they have a harness that fastens around their chest and that's it. So like if that thing like opens up or falls off of them, they fly out. Like that's it. But they do have the best view, honestly. They're probably just chilling the whole time, listening to music in their fucking like ear pods or something. Just in another world. He's sleeping. Look at him. He's sleeping now. Sleeping on the job. But that cable that's flying around, that's the only thing that's keeping him on the bird. Like if he were to like get bounced up, he would fly out if he didn't have that cable on him. All right, we're going to be exiting the bird here soon, and we stopped for a second at the LZ to make sure that we got communications with the pilot and the co-pilot. Because we're going to be doing training operations with them, so we want to make sure we can actually speak to them. So after this landing portion, you'll see us sit at the landing zone for a little bit, and actually talking about it. I'll pause the video when it gets to that point, but there was a moment here that was kind of scary for me at least. There's my that's Aragon. He was my assistant radio operator. Like I was the platoon or the section leader radio operator. I was in charge of like all the communications. I was the comm chief for the deployment, and he was my other radio operator. There were only two radio operators for the entire section, and that was one of my Marines. Because I technically would be a separate MOS from the LAAD gunners, so my authority only spread so far. As like even though I was like the highest ranking Marine out of the entire section, besides the sergeant and the lieutenant, I can't necessarily do their job, so like I had to delegate to like the next guys. Like most of the time, it was like a lance corporal that was a gunner or something, but um, he was my lance corporal as a radio operator, so he basically filled in when I was away, and he did my job. Like he fulfilled my billet when I had other duties. Kind of like a rundown of the idea there. Yeah, here we go. That's me on the left. That's my second lieutenant, or I think he's the first lieutenant at the time. But yeah, we're setting up communications with the bird, making sure we can still talk to him. And then like they're just gonna sit there for a minute, making sure that they can hear us, we can hear them. You'll even see like the door gunner, or I think he's like a crew chief or something, pop out of the side of the bird there for a moment. But scary moments coming up for me. Like you can't see in the video as well, but for me it was a heart sinking moment. And I'll explain why in a moment. Yeah, the crew chief's hanging out the door here in a moment. And keep in mind we're only like 20 feet away from this thing the whole time it's like going on. There's the door gunner. I think he would be a door gunner. I don't know all the ins and outs of what the air chief or the air crews do, but yeah, right here. This moment scared the fuck out of me because we're sitting all huddled up in a group, 20 feet away from this fucking thing, and it's taken off, and the back end of it dips down, and they start. I was watching. All I could care about was that tail rotor, this back rotor back here, because it's only about like it's probably about 7 feet off the ground. So when it dips down, it's on level with us, or it could be. And I just picture like a weed whacker, like when you're like trimming the tall grass next to a fence or something, and we're essentially going to be the tall grass in that scenario. And I just see us all getting sprayed by that rear the tail rotor. But right here, it takes off, and it dips down, and it started to turn, and I had like a heart attack for a brief moment because I saw it coming towards me, and I just saw my life flash before my eyes. But then I was like, okay, never mind. It's going. We're good. But in that moment, I remember that very vividly because I was like, why are we standing like 20 feet away from this fucking thing? And I thought that was so dumb at the time, but because like it just takes one moment for like a tragic accident to occur, and like that's one of those things that like you hear all the time, like a group of guys gets killed in a training incident, and like that's the kind of shit that happens. Like I thought that was gonna be our moment of death right there, but obviously I'm being very dramatic, but in that like it just scared me. Like it was like one of those moments that will always stay with me because I was watching it. It was like slow motion. I was just watching that rotor come closer to me. I'm like, no, please don't. Like I'm too young. But it was a stupid little thing in my head, but I just wanted to talk about it because it's like it's still to this day something that I always think about. But right now the helicopter's doing flybys over the LZ, and my gunner teams are basically setting up in positions where they can technically ambush the helicopters, and then we would have radios to report to the pilots telling them, hey, we locked onto you, we're firing now. And like in war or like in real situation, the pilots wouldn't know when the enemy's shooting at them. We're just giving them a heads up so like they can start doing their evasive maneuvers and kind of getting a feel for like how far of a standoff they have from like a Stinger missile, like how long of a like a distance basically they have between us and when they need to start evading and looking for us and stuff like that. What kind of radio did I have? At the time, we were using PRC 152s, which are the handheld radios. They're like a UHF, VHF line of sight radio. And then the other one was a 117 Golf, which is the same thing, but it also had the capability for SATCOM, like for higher bandwidth, like data transfer and stuff. we actually in our unit we used a program called JRE, which is like a joint. It stands for Joint Range Extension, and we would basically just tap into into radar systems and then feed a data picture of like if you've ever seen like an air traffic control tower, how they have like all the planes and the tracks of like what's in the air at different altitudes, different places, and it's like hundreds and hundreds of miles in a radius. We would have that in our section leader vehicle, and basically that would give us the ability to see what's flying in the area, and then we'd be able to shoot it down with our stingers. But long story short, we had the 152s and the 117 Golfs, and then I also had an Iridium Satcom phone just for like in case we lost like complete communications with everybody and it was like an emergency situation. We pulled the Satcom or the Sat phone, and um, that's what we'd use. But we had everything. We had 150s, which are the HF radios. We had 117 Foxes, which were just basically older versions of the Golf. And then we had Motorola's, like the little 153s, the little, I don't know, the ones that would make a chirp sound when you key out on it. We had all types of stuff, but in this op, we only used the 152 and the 117 Golf. And we were using ultra high frequency to talk to the birds because like they would be on a different frequency, obviously. So it's all line of sight, but if we were using HF or VHF, it wouldn't have worked as well. But yeah, right now the pilots are flying over the LZ, just doing a little like they're getting a feel for where we're setting up and everything like that. And then in a moment you'll see the actual gunner teams getting in position to like fire, like technically like they're not firing anything, but like their target acquisition or they're acquiring their targets on the helicopters as they're flying by. You'll see them here in a moment. That's Shub. That's one of I think he's still in. I think he's a staff sergeant now or a sergeant, but he's got one of the Stingers ready to go. And then that was my platoon sergeant for my deployment. That was what's his name? Roberts? No, his first name was Roberts. Robert. Fuck, I forgot his last name, dude. I'm a piece of shit. Yeah, he was a hard charger. He's a no nonsense kind of guy. Sometimes it was hard to deal with him, but if you talked shop, he was always fun to talk to. I guess like if you sat there and talked shop all day, he'll do that. But if you try to talk about like anything like less than work related stuff, he was not about it. Fuck, I forgot his name, dude. Anyway, here we go. They're all setting up. That's my assistant radio operator again, Aragon. He's got the 152 in his hands. That's Shub with the radio and a fat lip of chew in his mouth. Um, who else? You got Pinedo with his stinger. You got Cooter recording on camera, so like he can actually get POV because like we were also getting some training reps for like lessons learned later on. So we had somebody on their phone recording from our perspective to see what it looked like when the helicopter's approaching, and then when we're engaging the helicopters. This was actually just a really cool training op and really an interesting thing that we were doing because we don't always have the ability to like train with helicopters. But in this scenario, we got dropped off by them, and then they did some flybys for us while we engaged on them. Yeah, they're just chilling with the Stinger missiles. They're not the actual missiles, but the training missiles or the training tubes with the actual. It sucks that I don't have the audio because you can actually hear the actual like when it's pinging the aircraft, you can actually hear it when it's like making the ringing sound of the. I think it's like when it's identifying friend or foe. It has an antenna that pops out, and it actually like makes an audible sound for you to know that you're locked onto a target. But yeah, right now they're just getting ready for the helicopters to fly in and do their thing. I think that's Fabian with his Gore-Tex on. That's Dim coming over here pointing at him. I don't think most of these guys aren't still in, but it is interesting to think like where they are right now because I don't really keep up with a lot of the guys. There's only a few that I actually was like really close with, but um, yeah, it's just kind of cool to see this old video. It's been a while. This came out 4 years ago. And then later on, I think actually in this moment they're dropping off a crew member. Actually, it's the end of the video. They're dropping off a crew member, and we continue doing more reps of this, like where we're having flybys and then like they're like we're targeting the bird and stuff like that. We had a pilot come down. I think it was one of the pilots or the co-pilot, and we had him stay with our guys. Like he followed the team, and he got to see like the same perspective that our guys get. So he knows exactly like okay, cool, like in like real sense, like this is what they can see. So when I'm in the air, I need to keep that in mind. Like if there's high vegetation, like if there's like a lot of debris or buildings, like I don't necessarily like that's the pilot right there, walking out. But then the video cuts off. But we end up doing this all day. Like this was like a 5 or 6 hour event. But yeah, he's basically just getting the same perspective that we're getting. So they're getting good training, and we're also getting good training. And I think third LAAD has definitely evolved a lot since I've been out. We use lasers and shit like that. We use like mostly like obviously the man pads, like the Stinger missiles. Those are gonna be our main weapons, and then also the crew serves like the 50 cals, the Mark 19s, the 240 Bravos. Those are like the big things that we use. But um, I think now there's lasers, there's jammers, because like there's a lot of drones and stuff that we're actually like force readiness is like getting ready for like drone warfare. So like there's a lot of jamming stuff that we have. Um, but yeah, that's basically like what we did. I just think it's so cool that on the thumbnail for the video, let me refresh the page, or actually, hang on, I'll just open a new page with it. It's just automatically going on the thumbnail. I'm in the thumbnail. I think that's the coolest thing. But yeah, uh, no, they can't. Not from my understanding. From my understanding, the helicopter only knows when there is a proximity alarm, like if there's something coming towards it. But by then they don't know. They don't always have the time to evade. Like especially when the rocket is traveling at like I think at like a couple Machs. Like it's hauling ass. Like those Stinger missiles, they're traveling. I don't know the actual speed of the rocket that's propelling it, but um, I know that those things they cover a lot of ground quickly, and if you're not watching for the vapor trail of it, if you can't see it when it's getting shot at you, you're never gonna see it. There's actually a lot of videos on I think it's probably on Facebook, honestly. There's a lot of death on Facebook, but there's a lot of war footage in Ukraine and Russia right now where early on in the war, a lot of helicopters and jets were getting shot down. You'll be able to see, because a lot of those uh, aircraft were shot down using these kind of weapon systems that we have. Um, not like what you would think like a SAM missile site where it's like a stationary like automatic thing. Like it's not like that. A lot of those aircraft got shot down and like they have no time to respond. Like you have to see you have to literally see it come out from the ground and then like maybe you'll be lucky to evade it. But I would say like 9 times out of 10, if a Stinger missile gets shot at you, you're getting shot down. Jets have a better advantage just because they have speed. But helicopters, they're too low to the ground and they're a lot slower. You're not gonna necessarily evade it. And like they have chafe and like flares and stuff that they can deploy, but there's not really a likelihood of them having the reaction time to do it. And actually, uh, what would the word be? I know there's a word for it. I want to say spoof, but it's not spoof. Where they're like confusing the missile warhead, where they're like giving a different heat signature to like lead the rocket away from the helicopter. I don't know if they would be able to effectively use flares to like basically dodge a missile that's coming at them. I don't know if that's practical. I I don't know. We obviously we're not going to shoot missiles at our own helicopters in training, so like they couldn't train with the flares and shit. But um, I would imagine for a lot of these pilots, it was probably a wake up call for them, and they probably were like second guessing their security in those helicopters because you think of like these massive helicopters, you're like, okay, well we can get shot at and probably survive, like like it's basically just a fucking flying tank or whatever. But yeah, like it just takes like a little bit of damage to this tail rotor area here, and that whole bird's going down like a brick. And same thing with like just take a warhead to the cockpit area, the whole crew dies, and then that's it. Like I don't know, it was some. It put a lot of things in perspective for both sides of us. Like in regards to our training, we were able to see that um, like we only have a few seconds to really lock on to the helicopters before we're within their weapon range. But then also on the flip side of that, the helicopters don't have the ability to see us as easily, so we have the advantage of basically first strike in certain areas. I have another video I have to find. I think it's on my Instagram, but I feel like it's also on YouTube. We're doing the same type of training, but with AH-6s, which are the Cobra helicopters. They're a lot faster, and those are like the gunships for the Marine Corps. I'll have to find that. I'll put that up on here as well. Not today though. I'm not going to be digging around for it, but um, yeah, we were doing the same kind of training with those guys, and those guys are pretty nimble. Like those kind of helicopters, those guys might be able to evade some kind of stuff like this, but any kind of troop transport, cargo helicopters, stuff like that, you're not going to really stand a chance. Like I was saying with the Ukraine videos, a lot of the helicopters got shot down were like Mi-8 HIPs, which are they're like the Soviet era troop transport helicopters or like cargo helicopters. They're a lot slower, a lot bigger, a lot louder. Um, and honestly, sound is like a big thing for being able to detect these helicopters because if you don't have visual, the first thing you're going to hear is the helicopter. So like you'll know exactly like or you'll be able to figure out okay quickly like, there's something in the air nearby. So let me look around, let me see what's going on. And then yeah, it was some good training. I do remember vividly like it definitely put a lot of our lessons that we learned in the classrooms and stuff into like reality, and it made it more I guess realistic for us. Even though we weren't doing certain things that we would do in real life, like obviously in the video, let's see, like we're all pretty much slick. We don't have any of our flax on, like our plate carriers. We don't have any of our plate carriers. We don't have because we're also in the jungle, so we're also kind of geared out for like light movement, like jungle warfare kind of stuff, which you're not always going to necessarily have a plate carrier on because all that kind of stuff weighs you down, and it's like you got to think of it in a humid environment. You're going to sweat a lot more, and you're going to become more of like you're going to be more susceptible to becoming a heat case. So we have to consider all those kind of things when we have like our loadout for like what we're bringing for our gear and stuff. But yeah, what else? Also, we only have our service weapons. We don't have our crew serves, so like, we don't have our 50 cals, our Mark 19s, our 240s. All that stuff would be for ground control, like anything that like a ground threat kind of deal. Um, Depending on what unit we would be attached to, we wouldn't need that kind of stuff. So like if we're attached to a grunt unit, we probably wouldn't need it because they would have their guys with 240s and stuff as well. But if we were attached to say like artillery, we would probably need to bring our 50s or our 240s, just because artillery is focused on just artillery strikes. We would also like so along with being air defense, we would also simultaneously be their ground cover or their ground support. We would protect them from ground threats. And that's basically what our job was in this at this time in the Marine Corps. I don't know what the Marine Corps has LAAD doing now, but when I was in LAAD, our focus, our mission was low altitude air defense, and then secondary was ground defense for whatever unit we were attached to. Like I said, we were attached to tanks back when the Marine Corps had Abrams. Now I don't think they have tanks anymore. I think we have The heaviest armor we have is the AAV, I think. Yeah, I think the AAV and maybe the LAVs. Actually, yeah, we still have LAVs. So yeah, those two are the only mechanized, like heavy mechanized units that I know of that are still operational in the Marine Corps. I think the Marine Corps sold all the tanks to the Army, and then the Army gave them away to all the other places in the world. So yeah, Marine Corps doesn't have tanks anymore. We don't have artillery, I don't believe. I think they're getting rid of artillery. From last I heard, they're getting rid of like conventional artillery. Now it's just HIMARS. Like basically, HIMARS is just like a missile-launched artillery. Um, what else? So yeah, we attached to RD tanks, tracks. Tracks would be AAVs. Then we also attach to the grunt units. So like I think we've worked with 7th Marines, 1st Marines, 3rd, 5th, 3rd. I said 3rd already. I think that's about it. I know like 9th Marines could have been an option because they were close, but we never had the we never had the opportunity. They always had like different like deployment rotations and shit. So yeah, a good amount of units, but I couldn't even name all the tanks and stuff. We were always attached to some kind of mechanized unit, but yeah. Anyway, that's a video of my time in the service, and I thought it was cool because I just saw it pop up on my feed, so kind of felt like sharing it. But anyway, that's it. I'll try to find the other video where we're training with the AH6s, but that's somewhere else. I gotta find it. I don't think it's on YouTube. But yeah, I do think it's the coolest shit ever that I'm in the thumbnail for this, and I don't know. It's something also cool about the fact that like we're sitting here, like it's scary, but it's also cool. Like we're just like chilling no more than 20 feet away from a helicopter as it's taking off. Like that's some cool shit if you really think about it. Like it's getting ready to take off here, and like I'm telling you, like we were all like in a high knee position, but dude, it was giving us some fucking wind. We almost got put on our asses. All the gear was gonna go flying and shit. I'm surprised nothing flew away, but yeah, just like the thrust of that thing popping up and like taking off like that. Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, anyway, that's it. That's the video. I was gonna get on and do some Halo, so I'm gonna do a little cut to my stream start screen just so I could do the recording for it, and I'll be